All right. Good morning and welcome back to the Men's European Cup. My name is Statman.
I'm Panda. Nice to see you guys again. Thanks for joining us. We are very shortly going to be seeing Tyne and Fear taking on the mighty Zeus. We're going to have a quick rundown of each of the rosters for you.
All right, for South Wales, we've got Cool Jam Luke, Matt Lovin, Eastern Blocker, Farron Samity, The Machinist, Finch of Fury, Elderly, Ben Twilley, Clark, Natalie Wiggins, Neil Halado, The Mechanic, Chevy Chase, and What the Buck.
And for Tyne and Fear, we've got More Than a Woman, Barnabash, Dark Matter, Pablo Diablo, Chemic Al, Badam, Blockbeard, Reanimated Gift, Bully, Gay Forks, 60 Quad Bit, Dog, Nicholas Rage, and Moo. We are going to be ready to go in just a few seconds, just less than 30 on the clock.
And we've got a shout out for Guilo from his Team Wales and New Wheeled Order brothers.
How lovely. And I hear we've got King Crazy watching this morning. He's said he's loving the action. He wishes he was here, and he also sends a lot of love to the announcers. Hi.
And if you want to tweet at Men's Euro Cup or hashtag MEC2015, that'll come straight through to us here in the online production center, whatever you want to call it, the broadcast center.
Give us a shout out. We'll definitely do our best to try and get that for you. Right, we are ready to go on track, and it looks like we've got Moo jamming for Time and Fear, and it's the Machinist for Seuss.
That's right, it's Moo against the Machinist. Reanimated Jif taps out the Machinist to the inside line, and it's a cutting penalty against Moo. Lead Jam is still live, goes to the Machinist.
Yeah, Moo was out first, but the cut track sending him to the penalty box. This power jam here for Seuss to get started, getting those first points on the board. But Time and Fear with those strong walls, they're not going to give him an easy job. Ball up at the front, trying to keep him down, not quite managing to. And he's through for 5 points.
Well, it looks like Seuss have trapped a goat, and he throws a shoulder right into the side of the Machinist. Nicholas Rage there with the opening block. Reanimated Jif taps him out. Machinist is going to be sent for a cutting penalty.
So no switch in the box because Moo is back on the track, so it's going to be a 30-second sit down for the Machinist. Moo now struggling to break through the wall, coming up against the back of Matt Lovin and Clark. Knocked to the infield, recycling but not too far back. Trying to put some of that good footwork into action. He's really strong, juking through the blockers up at the front, but the height of the guys from Seuss is what's holding him back. Recycling once again, knocked out by Clark.
Machinist is now standing in the Rydell Skates penalty box, so this power jam is coming to a close shortly. It's a beautiful tap out and a recycle job.
Matt Lovin's taking a seat in the penalty box, so they're a blocker short on the Seuss side as the Machinist now re-enters. Moo recycled towards the back, so he's actually entering the pack behind the Machinist, but he has the advantage of having been on the track a little bit longer.
Now there's a multiplayer block that's going to thin the pack for Time and Fear. Moo is through. That was his initial pass. The Machinist has points. He's going to have 4 from that pass.
So it's a 3-on-3 pack as it stands at the minute. Jam being called off. 4 points on the board for Time and Fear. And I think we might have a 9 on the board for Seuss. We'll just wait for the scores to be updated so we can confirm.
In the meantime, it's going to be Dark Matter against the Mechanic to take the Stars on the next jam. Yes, you're correct. 4 plays 9 on the scoreboard. 10, I'm
10.
sorry.
The extra one added on there. So still a blocker apiece in the box. Actually, Matt Lovin now just re-entering the track. Barnabash very nearly coming in for a clockwise block. Didn't see him re-enter.
The Mechanics seem to enjoy hitting Barnabash right there on the corner. And it's a lead jam, pre-jam for South Wales.
And they're going to have Madley Wiggins taking a seat in the penalty box. Bull is ready to re-enter the track for Time and Fear, followed by Neil Hellardo. 2 on the track for Seuss. Pack disadvantage there. Dark Matter with a nice pirouette out of the front of the pack, managing to stay on his feet. Ben Twilley on his way to the box, but it looks like they are still sitting, so no space. He's going to be back on for the next jam and queued for the Rydell Skates penalty box.
It's 4 points in it for the Mechanic and Seuss.
So the total so far, 14 on the board for Seuss, 4 on the board for Time and Fear. If you're watching online, Time and Fear playing in the black jerseys, Seuss playing in the grey.
And remember, this is a semi-final. The winner plays again this evening at 7 p.m.
Absolutely. Jam is on. Man-shaped dog looking for a line down the inside, knocked towards the outfield, but he does manage to stay on. Ooh, big hit taking him down. Shoulder check to the inside.
And a great job to maintain his position on the inside, not pick up that cut. Now he has lead jam status.
Dog has a strength in that if he takes a hit, it doesn't actually take him too far out of his position. He manages to keep his footwork nice and tight, especially when he's on the inside or the outside lines, so he doesn't have to recycle very far. That's another 5 points on the board for Man-Shaped Dog and Time and Fear.
And it's a direction of gameplay penalty on Neil Hellardo, who was doing an excellent job trying to help his jammer through. but he'll be on his way to the Rydell Skates penalty box.
Farron Samedi now coming up against the wall of Pablo Diablo and Gay Fawkes. Reanimated GIF holding him back. Nice strong wall at the back there as Dog comes through and picks up another 5 points, and it looks like we've got a lead change here for Tyne and Fear just now. Statman.
That's right. Man-shaped Dog doing an excellent job turning this game around. There's going to be a cut track coming down. Oh, it's against Farron Samedi, so this is going to be a power jam to Tyne and Fear.
Absolutely, Dog looking for a space on the inside line now, absorbing those hits as he comes up against the front of a Seuss wall. Finch of Fury holds it up at the back there, pulls it off. Still, he manages to pick up 5 points.
So Tyne and Fear advance to a 10-point lead.
That's a switch around with a 20-point jam there.
Tyne and Fear are wearing the black shirts. Seuss in the gray rugby-style jerseys.
A nod to the heritage of the Welsh there.
They've got the kit maker's name on the right-hand chest and the sponsor across the belly.
Blockbeard jamming for Tyne and Fear. One of the relatively newer skaters to the lineup, but he's certainly showing his worth, picking up lead jammer. He's happy with that.
I love the way everyone has to pep the crowd up when they get lead jam status.
Straight through the straightaway. As soon as they've got a clear block, they love whooping the crowd up just for the cheers. Dark Matter is one of the guys as well that loves it quite a lot. Neil Hollardo taking a hit down, but Blockbeard with an out-of-play block. So he's going to be taking a seat in the penalty box, and it is a power jam here now for Seuss.
Now this power jam is going to go the full 2 minutes. Lead jammer was lost when Blockbeard went to the box.
Absolutely. Farron Samedi up against More Than a Woman at the front of the pack. More Than a Woman way ahead of the 20 feet in the engagement zone. Blocking out of play. So he's going to be taking a seat as Blockbeard stands in the penalty box. Just a few seconds left on the clock there.
Farron Samedi called a play to his pack, and the pack engaged, gave him some offense. He is going to get through and pick up those 5 points. We've still got just under a minute remaining in this jam.
Nicely done, both of the jammers in the engagement zone. Right in the back of the pack now, Farron Samedi not having very much contention up at the front of the pack now as Chemic Al and Badam rejoin that wall to hold him down. Blockbeard looking for a break, not managing to find it. Farron Samedi through for another 4 points.
The Seuss wall doing a great job keeping Blockbeard stuck in the pack. Flurry of whistles, and it's going to be Seuss losing a blocker.
So that's
And there's 5 for Blockbeard. He finishes that Grand Slam.
it's going to be a 4-on-2 pack starting the next jam. Tyne and Fear with the pack advantage. 2 blockers from Seuss in the penalty box. We just saw Eastern blocker with the pivot helmet cover on.
And 1 from Tyne and Fear in the box as well. So it's going to be a diet pack start for both teams.
Diet pack, I like it. All right, we've got the Machinist lining up against Moo on the jammer line. The very first lineup that we saw in this game here today. I fancy we'll be seeing this one quite a lot as we go through. Gay Fawkes, a formidable force up at the back of the pack, but he's absorbing those hits as the Machinist tries to get a shoulder check in there to break up the walls at the back. Moo recycling behind Matt Lovin.
We've pretty much got some clockwise derby going on right now. Incredible recycling here from both teams.
So the pack's quite far spread as well as we going back towards turn 2.
They went 3/4 of the way around the track the wrong way. They've moved further than some jams the wrong way.
So Moo out for lead jammer now. And the pack moving at quite a pace, so he's going to have some catching up to do before he gets back. And we've got Elder Lee and Gay Fawkes facing off up at the back of the pack, just taking it on themselves. I think they're going to have eyes on each other throughout this game.
I like it. You have half the crowd cheering Boo and the other half the crowd cheering Seuss. It's almost like they're supporting each other.
Well, I think there's a lot of love for both of these teams. We've seen wins and losses on both sides. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes today. We'll have a look at some stats in between the next couple of jams. Moo now through for another 5 points on the board. The Machinist trying to break through, get shoulder in, nicely done as he manages to find a break toward the front of the pack.
That's probably going to force Moo to call it off, but he's going to get all the points he can first. He's doing a great job adding to that Time and Fear lead.
Knocked to the outfield, just has 2 points on the board for Seuss, so not quite timely enough, but still managing to pick up the full 4, which I think is what he was aiming for.
And we've got a timeout called by South Wales Silliers. Timeout brought to you by Double Threat Skates, bricks and mortar roller derby specific store run by London Brawling's Gaz and Kristen Lee. We are cool, and so are you.
Absolutely. Don't forget to mention that we have the Rydell Skates penalty box. Rydell Skates, of course, with Kamikaze Kitten keeping a keen eye over the penalty box today. Looking gorgeous on that poster.
Now you see some of our crowd. We have a good attendance here at the Men's European Cup at the beautiful Walker Activity Dome.
Here, home of the Newcastle Roller Girls and, of course, Tyne and Fear Men's Roller Derby, who we're seeing on track here today. The next jam lineup, it looks like we're going to see Dark Matter versus the Mechanic.
Has anyone noticed what Dark Matter's full jersey number is?
It's the square root of -1.
That's correct.
It makes no sense to me whatsoever, but I imagine you'll have a bit of an idea of that. I'm mathematically challenged.
It's the imaginary number. Everyone else has real numbers. His is imaginary.
Well, it'd be a complete mouthful to the referees if he was allowed to have it in full.
Well, it's a penalty. It's an imaginary number. Nonetheless, lead jam status for the Mechanic, and he is flying around that track.
And we're going to see Clark taking a seat in the penalty box. Seuss a blocker down. A lot of action towards the back of the pack there as it's called off. 2 points on the board there for Tyne and Fear.
And none for South Wales. A little bit off on the timing there for the Mechanic.
Just a quick mention about the stats that I briefly mentioned earlier on. In April 2014, we saw Seuss and Tyne and Fear. Tyne and Fear took the win with 167 to Seuss's 150. But in April this year, a year on, we saw two completely different teams. Seuss on 323 to Tyne and Fear's 34. So Tyne and Fear are going to be looking to regain the lead here.
We've got What the Buck jamming for the South Wales Silliers. And I believe that's Dog for Tyne and Fear with the lead jam status.
And there's a couple of whistles called in the pack, and it looks like we've got 2 blockers in the box for Seuss. One standing. Bent Willie is making his way over, so it's going to be a blocker in, a blocker out, and a full box for Seuss.
Clark returning to the track after serving his penalty, but with only one opponent to beat, Dog flies through that pack, picking up a 5-point grand slam.
Pack now returning to turn 2 to give him a little bit of engagement, but Clark on his own up at the front, not managing to keep Dog down. And we're seeing Finch of Fury go into the penalty box. All the blockers want to turn.
All the blockers get a turn too. Chevy Chase battering his way through the pack to make a wall with Clark up at the front, and there comes their jammer. Almost did a belly slide through the wall.
Lovely work from What the Buck there. Great offense as he's trying to make his way through the pack. It paid off. He did manage to get out. He's not too far behind Dog, but Dog knows exactly where he is on the track and calls it off before he manages to score any points.
And there's a 30-point lead right now for Tyne and Fear, so it makes sense to call it off maybe a little bit early when he could have pushed for points. Not to worry. Make sure you prevent them from scoring.
So it's a 15-point jam there for Dog for Tyne and Fear. 60 quad bit now lining up on the jam line for Tyne and Fear. It's his first jam today, jamming. And it's Farron Samadi for Seuss. We have a timeout, an official timeout in situ at the moment, so these guys will just be waiting patiently until we've got that sorted out.
And right now the Silliers have 3 times as many penalties as Tyne and Fear, so that could become a major issue later in this game.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that at half-time, and we can bring you a bit more information about the stats in terms of who's on what. I know we had a couple of games yesterday where going into the second period, we had 2 jammers on 6 penalties, both fouled out in the same jam. That was the quad guards.
That's right. And they had to call the jam off because there were no jammers remaining.
That was one of these things that you will likely never see again, or not for a very long time. So that was quite considerate.
It was quad guards against Barrow, that one.
And we've got Bad Daddy Yam watching on, keeping an eye on things on Twitter. He says, good morning. Good morning, Yam.
Oh, Borodab Dachatai.
What he said.
Farron Samity out there. Big recycle job coming in on 60 quad bit. Farron Samity won to beat. Beautiful little toe stop work on the inside line. Lead jammer status.
No contention from Barnabash up at the front of the pack there. I think he was a little bit too far ahead. Didn't want to get called for the outplay block. And we got 60 quad bit now recycling towards the back of the pack. Pack spreading out and then reforming back into turns 1 and 2.
Farron Samity also recycled, moved right across the inside of the apex to make sure he wasn't going to get called for a cut track.
60 quad bit out.
Great shoulder bashing there from Matt Lovin. But 60 quad bit showing his skill.
He gets those long legs into good use to manage to power his way through and just absorb the hits. He can get really low, extend his legs out, and he manages just to fly through the corners.
Ben Twilley out there with one pink sock. It's a heck of a look. It's for Tomahawk.
The bromance. All right, so we've got pivot in the box for Seuss. So they're 1 blocker short on the track, and it's the Machinist and Moo. Like I said earlier on, we're going to see this pairing quite often on the track. Quite a nice pairing to see. We get a bit of jammer on jammer action on the way through as well.
Reanimated Jiff doing a great job holding back the Machinist. Just digging in with his toe stops. And there you have it, Moo through and scoring for lead jammer.
Moo through, exactly, picking up lead now as the pack starts slowing down through turn 2. He's going to look and try and take a run through. No, manages to overshoot and fall out of the front.
And Ben Twilley sent off for direction of gameplay.
Five more points on the board there for Moo. And a forearms penalty sending Reanimated Gift to the penalty box. That is, he's wearing the pivot helmet cover for Tynan Fear. So a blocker apiece in the box at the minute. And that's the way the next jam's going to start. 4 more points on the board for Tynan Fear. Scores as they stand. That was a 9-point jam for Tynan Fear. 68 on the board for the boys in black. 34 on the board for Seuss in grey.
Well, the Cilliers are going to have to score sometime soon to turn this run around. Tynan Fear have been on a massive scoring run lately.
They had a strong start, Seuss did, in the first couple of jams. We saw a couple of power jams straight off the line. They got the Mechanic and Dark Matter. Dark Matter trying to find a break up at the front of that Seuss wall, but they're doing a great job of holding him back, keeping the backwards skating, keeping an eye on where he's at. Shoulders firmly together. Nicely done. Taking a hit down to the back of the pack, and it is Seuss picking up lead.
This is an important move for Seuss. They need to get a couple points off of this just to change that momentum.
The pack spread now as the Mechanic pushes through. 5 points on the board. Nicely done.
Well, Tynan Fear demonstrating that they did in fact read that wonderfully sarcastic blog post that forward skating will not be allowed at the men's Euros this year.
I read that too.
The beautiful thing about satire is it's always based in truth, right?
1 more point on the board there for Seuss. But 6 in total in that jam, so taking their score to 40. Tynan Fear 68, 28-point game as it stands at the minute. It could still go either way. We've got 13 minutes left on the period clock. Ben Twilley now jamming against Man-Shaped Dog. I think this is the first time we've seen Ben jamming in this game. We've seen his strength in blocking.
And earlier this tournament, he's taken a star pass several times. But this is the first time this game we've seen him start with the stars.
Absolutely, but it is Man-Shaped Dog coming through for lead, riling up the crowd as he goes. Zeus losing their blocker to the Rydell Skates penalty box. And it's Neil Hillardo. He's the pivot for this jam.
Cool Jam Luke does a great job driving Dog to the inside, defending his point, so only 3 in it for Dog.
Very nicely done. So we are going to see Blockbeard lining up to jam against Farron Samedi just as a team timeout is called by Tynan Fear.
And this timeout is brought to you by the Four Nations. Four Nations, 2 days, 1 winner. The 27th and 28th of November in Birmingham, England. See England, Wales, France, and Scotland's national men's squads battle it out in 2 days of men's roller derby action. Search Four Nations on Facebook for details. And there's a shot of some of our other sponsors.
Of course, we've got Fifth Blocker Skates sponsoring the track here this weekend at the Men's European Cup. Thank you very much for watching. Do get in touch. You can reach us on Twitter at Men's Euro Cup, and you can use the hashtag MEC2015. And get in touch, give us a shout out. We'll do our best to get any mentions on for you.
And this game we have skaters from the training squads for England, Scotland, and Wales. So many of these skaters that you're watching today have hopes of traveling to Calgary next summer.
Absolutely. Right, back to the track now. Team timeout has ended. Still no change in the jammers. Blockbeard and Farron Samedi. I feel like I should say that with a French accent. Farron Samedi. I'll do my best.
Oh, and it's Blockbeard out there with lead jam status.
Nice little sprint down the straightaway as the pack has hardly moved from the pivot line. Nicely done, little step over the inside there, 4 points and calling it off.
That's classic hit it and quit it roller derby for Blockbeard.
We've got Terence Chronic watching on Twitter. Hi! He says that Ben Twilly is the best name ever.
Good to hear you're watching back there, Chronic.
All right, we've got the Machinist and Moo lining up. I wonder if either of these jammers are going to jam against any of the other lineup jammers today.
No, it's too good of a balance. They're a pair, clearly.
It's good. Both of these jammers with strong blocking experience as well. Double threat, but we do tend to see them more in the blocking, the jamming position than we do as blockers. Full force back on the track now as the penalty box is emptied, but there was a whistle in there to let us know that somebody else is going to be going as the Machinist picks up lead jammer. Gay Fawkes on his way to the penalty box for what looked like a cut track penalty.
There's a flurry of whistles out there, but only 2 on their way to the box.
There was a multiplayer block in there somewhere as well, so I think that might have gone to Cool Jam Luke. The Machinist calling it off with 4 more points on the board.
And Cool Jam Luke, shout out to Cool Jam Luke's son, who's turning 1 in the next few days. Just yesterday, Friday, turned 1 just on Friday.
Yeah, he wanted us to give a shout out to his little boy, and it was very sweet. Everybody's hearts were melting when he came over and said to us, they're like, oh. All right, Dark Matter and the Mechanic lining up on the jammer line now as we go into jam 14. Just under 10 minutes left on the period clock.
And the Mechanic out there got leveled, but manages to almost bounce off the pine like it were rubber. Now he's out, and it's going to be a power jam after a low block against Dark Matter. And he's through and scoring lead jammer.
So Gay Fawkes now standing in the penalty box. Chemic Al is going to be taking a seat as well for an out-of-play block.
The Mechanic out there looking winded after getting battered on his initial pass.
Barnabash is going to be taking a seat in the penalty box now. Dark Matter's standing. So he's only got a few seconds before he's going to be starting the next jam from the penalty box, the Rydell Skates penalty box. He's only got a handful of seconds left on the clock, but it looks like we've got an official review being called. And that
called by the Cilliers. And we'll learn what they're reviewing in just a moment.
Don't forget, if you are watching online, you can join the MEC raffle. If you want to get involved, you can go to www.tineofear.co.uk/MEC raffle for details. The raffle is open until the end of July. So you've got up until the 31st of July. So if you are watching on demand and you want to get involved, you can still donate. For every £3 that you donate, you get entered to win a prize.
You make it sound really fancy. Roller derby has on demand now.
Tyne and Fear on demand. If you're watching us via YouTube today,
push the red button if you want to see.
Thanks very much for joining us. If you want to get in touch, we're on Twitter at Men's Eurocup, #MEC2015. All right then, just a quick mention to Queens of the Simbin, who are sponsoring the MVP, the Most Valuable Player Awards, with a custom shirt for the MVP Jammer, MVP Blocker, and MVP All Tournament for the Tournament All-Stars. These guys get some fancy merch.
And that's right, we are doing an all-tournament team rather than a single or 1 to 3 all-tournament skaters. It's a full 14.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of the announcers here this weekend, we've had a keen eye on everything going on the track. Just watching out to see, who's really impressed us. And then towards the end of the day today, we'll be looking at who's got the sort of the points and the tracking and the penalties, etc., just to try and work out who that would ultimately be. And then we'll be doing the awards at the end of the day after the game that's going to be the final game that's going to be starting here at 7 o'clock. We already know that we are going to have Southern Discomfort Roller Derby playing, and then the team that wins this game is also going to be joining them. So at the moment, we've got Tyne and Fear in the lead on 75, Seuss on 49. We're in the middle of an official review. So as soon as we have any information about that, we will let you know. Just a quick mention again to Rydell Skates, unmatched quality, unmatched performance. Keeping an eye on our penalty box, sponsoring our penalty box today.
That's right, one of the helpful sponsors that helps put this event on.
Absolutely.
Couldn't be here without them.
Absolutely, and we also couldn't be here without all of the volunteers, the crew, the non-skating officials and the paramedics here today. So a shout out to them, especially a huge thank you to everyone getting involved, and of course the skating referees, as well as all the teams that have joined us here today. I think we have a little bit of information about the official review.
So what's going to happen is Chemic Al is going to restart his 30-second penalty because he had passed the point of no return, entered the box incorrectly. He was allowed to sit. The official review was he shouldn't have been allowed to sit. He should restart, and so they're going to go back around, which means the official review was successful and they keep it.
I had a feeling he was a little bit too far up before he rejoined, because he skated what looked like clockwise a little bit on the track to get there, so I had a feeling that it might have been something to do with that from just the angle from here, but obviously we don't have the best vantage point, the referees do, and it has been reviewed and the decision has been made that he will restart the penalty.
And so we're going to have Farron Samedi back on the jammer line. He's going to be soloing for just a few seconds.
Yeah, we've got Dark Matter standing ready to re-enter the track with about 4 or 5 seconds left on the clock.
Oh, Farron Samedi making it look easy. I want a replay of that one.
Imagine if we had instant replays. That'd just make it so much better. All right, Dark Matter is out of the pack now. Not lead. Reanimated Gift making a huge hole for him. Dark Matter with a nice little apex jump, riding the rope on 1 foot down the inside. 4 points apiece in that last jam.
Farron Samedi tried to call it off in time, but Dark Matter was just on such a tear. And now South Wales are going to call for another official review since they won the last one and retain it.
Obviously for this half they're going to have have that particular review retained, so they're going to use that again. Everything's reset in terms of official reviews for the second period.
And if I were a gambling man, I would say that they're going to review those 4 points on their opponent. They're going to claim that Dark Matter didn't land in time, or potentially that he landed out of bounds and then stepped back in.
I think there's definitely going to be a query around that one. I mean, from the viewpoint that we have, we're pretty much looking down straight away between turns 2 and 3. And it looks quite clean to me, but obviously the decision isn't made by the announcers, it's made by the referees. That's what they're here for. So these guys are going to huddle and review.
Well, and it's a great thing to review because you don't take your first half official review into the second half. You retained it after the first review. Why not? The worst that happens is nothing changes.
Exactly. And they've had the advantage of already having one that they've won. So if they don't win this one, then the difference is not very much, really. But we'll see. It could make a difference to the scores, but those last passes, it was 4 points apiece. We'll see how that turns out. The scores as they stand currently, Seuss playing in the grey jerseys on 53 points. Tyne and Fear playing in the black jerseys on 79 points.
So this time they won't retain their official review, which they can't because it's their second review of the half anyway. But they were asking for contact while airborne on that jump, and the no call stands.
Great, so still keeping that 4 points on the board.
Ben Twilly up at the front does a beautiful job pushing his way past. That's Priv Jamor Irsiliers, lead jammer to South Wales.
Nice 4-5 points on the board there as we are re-entering the pack, looking for a break up at the front. Nice little bit of footwork around Barnabash for Ben Twilly for 5 more points. No opposition up at the front of the pack there.
Ben Twilly was on the spin cycle at that point, wasn't he?
Nice little pirouette towards the front of the pack. Oh!
He rolled over the rope that time, and he knows it.
Yeah, he's got to recycle back now as Chemic Al takes him toward the rear of the pack. Man-shaped dog looking like he was tiring a little bit as he exited the pack.
And Twilly calls it off. He'll pick up all 5 on that pass. That's the thing about recycling, is sometimes you forget you've scored all those points already. They're just making you score them again.
So you might even have 2 or 3 on the board already by the time you recycle. You've gotten through and you've got the remaining 3. You've still got to pass all of the blockers because you've got to get through and get out of the front of the pack. But you're not going to regain any of those points, of course.
Unless you're doing hit it and quit it, in which case they go to recycle you and you just say, no thanks, I'll call it off now.
That's why you have the advantage of lead, but this is an 11-point game as it stands at the moment. We've got the Mechanic jamming against Dark Matter. There's an hour play penalty called on the pack. It's 60 quad bit, sorry.
That's right, 60 quad bit is out and scoring with lead jammer status. Mechanic was stuck behind a harsh wall. He's forced to recycle, 5 points in it for 60 quad bit. And it's a cutting penalty on the Mechanic.
So the Mechanic's going to be taking a seat next to Elderly, who's in the box already. 5 more points on the board for 60 quad. Gives a thumbs up to the bench as he comes past. Gay Fawkes is going to be taking a seat in the penalty box. So it's a 3-on-3 pack on the track at the minute.
I always love seeing that proper two-way communication. The bench says something to the jammer says, got it.
5 more points on the board, calling it off. Tyne and Fear extending their lead now. 94 points on the board to Seuss's 68.
I make that as 26 points.
It was a 15-point jam. I'm just going to trust you on the mathematics with this one.
Fair enough.
After I spectacularly got it very wrong yesterday, and I was only trying to work out the difference between 9 points.
Oh, no. Well, Moo's going to take the solo jam this time. And he storms through the pack like his name is El Nino, lead jam status.
Exactly, Moo is going to come through now. Keeping the pack nice and stationary. Barnabash holding that back line, trying to keep an eye on now as the Mechanic comes back through. And he's out with a nice little hop through the inside there. Not getting very far indeed. The Mechanic, did he manage to pick up one in that last pass? Not quite.
And Finch of Fury absolutely leveled Moo, but it was a direction of gameplay penalty.
So a block of short for Seuss starting the next jam. 3 points on the board there for Tyne and Fear. And we are just shy of 5 minutes left on the period clock for this first period from Tyne and Fear versus South Wales Cilios. Dark Matter and the Machinist jamming now.
And it's a 4-on-3 pack advantage to Tyne and Fear. Beautiful job by Dark Matter taking advantage of that pack advantage. Lead jam status.
And it looks like we're going to have another Seuss blocker on the way to the box. That's Cool Jam Luke who's going to be taking a seat. Dark Matter with a little bit of communication to the bench there, but no difference in what he's doing right now. Nicely done, a bit of a dazed look as he exited the pack there, but 5 more points on the board.
And the Machinist tried to re-enter the pack, almost bounced off his own pivot, forced him to recycle further. Now he's out. Finished his initial pass, but Dark Matter is going to call it off, putting up 14 in the jam.
Cute little hip checks there, getting the Machinist through. He managed just to sort of pinball his way between the blockers on the track, but not to any avail in that last pass. No more points on the board there for Seuss, but 14-point jam taking Tyne and Fear into triple figures. Seuss now on 68 points, Tyne and Fear on 111. Farron Samadi on the jammer line for Seuss. And it's Man-Shaped Dog for Tyne and Fear.
Oh, and Dog storming up the inside line. Beautiful job picking up lead jam status.
Fight for the line up at the front there. It was so close between the two of them, but he has been overtaken. Very nicely done by Farron Samadi.
Farron Samadi lowered the shoulder on that one. That was a beautiful little jammer on jammer hit.
So he's got the advantage of being a little bit further ahead, but of course Dog with lead calls it off just as he reaches the back of the pack, keeping an eye on where he's at, tiring him out before he starts to engage, making him skate that little bit extra, holding back, pulling it off.
And Dog with a smile and a wink towards his bench manager for a job well done.
So we've got the Mechanic, number 79, lining up against number 46, Blockbeard. And it's a 4-on-4 pack on the track, full house.
And the Mechanic going for some jammer on jammer blocking right off the bat, almost forcing the Tyne and Fear wall to jump in and play offense.
Oh, nice little bit of footwear there, keeping the Mechanic in for picking up lead. He had a little hopper on the outside. He's going to be happy with that.
Well, and he teamed up with Clark there to control that inside line to deny his opponent the opportunity to use the same hole. Job done.
Very nicely done. Yeah, it was great little bit of footwork on his toe stops there. He has got another 5 points, but a forearms penalty, sending Blockbeard to the penalty box. Very nearly took a blocker seat there.
Oh, the Mechanic forced to juke to the outside, and it was just a juke too far. He's got to go out and recycle. And he's going to recycle just to be safe. He wasn't actually blocked out of bounds.
Sometimes it's the best way. If you don't know who it is that you've gone out behind, it's better to do it that way, just to be sure.
He still gets 3 points on the pass and preserves the power jam. So that was a good call off by the Mechanic.
Nicely done. That was an 8-point jam for the Mechanic. Nothing on the board for Tyne and Fear. So 76 to Seuss. Tyne and Fear's 111 still stationary on the scoreboard.
And Ben Twilley to take the solo jam. It's a 4-on-2 pack advantage to Tyne and Fear. Something tells me Ben Twilley has a pair of socks just like that at home.
There's going to be some that have migrated elsewhere in the washing pile, I'm sure. All right, coming up against the wall of Barnabash, Chemical, and More Than a Woman.
And they do an amazing job with that wall, constantly recycling and shifting. Takes Ben Twilley about 15 seconds to pick up lead jam status.
Yeah, Chemical showing his strength as a Team England blocker, or England men's roller derby, I should say. Ben Twilley now back towards the front of the pack, looking for a break up at the front. More Than a Woman not giving him any space whatsoever.
Power Jam has completed. Blockbeard back onto the track. Ben Twilly still working hard to drive his way through. Oh, and he's off for a cutting penalty. Too close to the outside line, so this is going to be a Power Jam to the team from Newcastle.
So a Power Jam apiece. In this Jammers, we've now got a 4-on-2 pack advantage to Tyne and Fear. Obviously the Power Jam advantage as well. Matt Loving keeping an eye on Blockbeard. Lovely little shoulder check to the infield, taking him out of bounds. Blockbeard managing to find a break with the help of Moore.
Chemical doing a great job throwing that offense. Matt Lovin had locked down Blockbeard for a good, 10-15 seconds there.
He had a great hold on him up at the front of the pack there, and again we're seeing that strength from Seuss up at the front walls. Clark and Matt Lovin doing a great job, but Matt Lovin is on his way to the penalty box. But there's another 5 points on the board there for Seuss.
And Clark backing up almost faster than most people skate forward to get a massive recycle job in on Blockbeard.
Both of the Jammers back on the track now, but Blockbeard is out in front with 5 points on the board. Not having such an easy job. Ben Twilly up against More Than a Woman and Chemical at the front, but he does manage to put 3 points on the board. But he's just going to have a chat with Sleaze, the Jammer referee, whether he's just asking about the points. We'll see if there's anything that comes out of this. I think she's just explaining exactly what's happened, and the number of fingers in the air exactly it stands. No changes to that, of course.
And we're going to halftime with a score 121 for Tyne and Fear, 84 for South Wales Silliers.
Just a quick time to mention double threat skates, bricks and mortar roller derby specific store run by the London Brawlings. Gaz and Kristen Lee, we're cool and so are you.
And in the first half, Tyne and Fear with 13 penalties and South Wales with 28.
Okay, we'll have a look at the penalty board at half-time just to see if we've got anybody who's racked up quite a few, just to see if anybody's going to be in danger throughout the second period.
And we'll be back with you in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, every 2 seconds. men's and leggings t-shirt.
All right, Borada Chroesonol, welcome back to the Men's European Cup. Have to do that now and again.
Of course, because we are seeing the South Wales Cilios here on track taking on the local boys, Tyne and Fear. And so far, we've got Tyne and Fear on 121 points, Zeus on 84. The last two times these teams have met, we each have taken a win. Back in April 2014, Tyne and Fear took a win of 167 to Zeus's 150. And then in April this year, the tables turned quite dramatically. And we had Zeus taking the win with 323 to Tyne and Fear's 34.
So this one definitely could go either way. And it is a semifinal. Winner advances to play this evening at 7 p.m.
Yep, and they're going to be playing Southern Discomfort Roller Derby.
And then the loser goes on to the third place game and takes on Lincolnshire.
So we are going to be seeing those two games here this evening from 7 o'clock is the final and 5 o'clock is the semi-final.
There's some NSOs sorting out their paperwork, being watched over by Kamikaze Kitten.
Yeah, she's keeping an eye on the penalty box as sponsored by Rydell Skates. These guys warming up, ready to go. We've just got a minute left on the penalty clock. Just a quick mention to Four Nations, one of our sponsors here today. Four Nations, 2 days, one winner. The 27th and 28th of November in Birmingham. We're going to see England, Wales, France and Scotland's national teams taking it on, battling it out for 2 days of intense roller derby action. Search Four Nations on Facebook for details.
And of course, all four of those will then be going on to compete in Calgary next July. Those tickets have gone on sale, and not yet announced, but about to be announced, that there will be VIP tickets for sale with some wonderful benefits like guaranteed trackside seating and guaranteed parking. And those will go on sale shortly.
Very nice. And of course, we're talking about Calgary. We are referring to the Men's Roller Derby World Cup 2016. So do check it out on Facebook, Twitter, all the social media. The next jam, we're going to see Moo and Ben Twilly jamming. It's the first time we've seen Moo up against a different jammer other than the Machinist.
That's true. And Moo is up at the front. He has got lead jam status. Ben Twilly is out and scoring, but he's half a lap behind.
So Gay Fawkes now making his way to the penalty box for a multiplayer block penalty. He was quite penalty heavy yesterday. I wonder if we're going to be seeing a similar game for him.
He turned to the announcer, signaled his own penalty, and then pretended to cry.
Gay Fawkes, I just want to mention for anybody that doesn't know us here locally, he is my in-house co-announcer with Tyne and Fear and Newcastle Roller Girls. Together we are Team Gay Panda.
Team Gay Panda, I
Absolutely.
like it.
So, but of course on the track we've got Mechanic and Dark Matter jamming. Both very, they were very well matched through the pack there, but a couple of tumbles taking the Mechanic towards the back, but now he's reforming very nicely.
The Mechanic had taken out Dark Matter. He himself went down, but Dark Matter recycled anyway. Still picks up lead jam status.
So Dark Matter just ambling around to come into the pack with a nice little bit of pirouette in there as Barnabash makes his way to the penalty box, but it is a cut track penalty taking Dark Matter to the penalty box.
Well, that's what happens when you have an imaginary number on your back.
The footwork didn't quite pay off for him there. But we've got the Mechanic now recycling towards the back of the pack. He's making his way quite far behind. I imagine he's going to want to get a bit of a run up around the inside of Gay Fawkes and More Than a Woman, which he does, and he works his way through the pack nicely on the outside around More Than a Woman. 5 more points on the board.
Well, the jammer is up and standing. That's Dark Matter in the box, so this power jam is quickly coming to a close. The Mechanic needs to take advantage of this. South Wales with that deficit on the scoreboard.
And a blocker in the box as Madeline Wiggins takes a seat, but 5 more points for the Mechanic, and Dark Matter also managing to pick up the 5. Working their way through the pack now with a bit of a tussle. Strong walls holding both of the blockers back there. Clark, as we've seen, we're doing a fantastic job with Neil Hilardo.
Both Chemical and Barnabash did a great job there busting their own jammer out of the walls.
And the Mechanic taking a stroll backwards to make sure that he's recycling behind Barnabash, but he takes a foot to the inside. And the jam is called off. The Mechanic looked like he was tiring a little bit and possibly got a little bit of a hit to the throat. He was just holding his throat there, so he'll be quite happy just to have a little bit of a rest.
Well, 13 points in it for the Mechanic. Not bad at all.
No, he had a good jam, but he had to work really hard for those points.
He absolutely did, and they take him to within 3 points of the 100-point mark.
So it's a 2 points. It's a 33-point game, and Man-Shaped Dog jamming for Tyne and Fear. He is out for lead jammer. Farron Samedi jamming for Seuss, having a tricky time of making his way through, but does manage to break through. Nicely done as Dog re-enters the pack up against the front of Matt Lovin and the Machinist. Again, Machinist showing his double threat status here as part of Seuss's pack.
Just 2 points in it. Great defense there by the Silliers.
Ben Twilley and 60 Quad Bit having a hug on the jammer line there. These guys know each other relatively well. They've seen each other play quite a lot. They've faced off a couple of times. We could still see this jam go either way. Tyne and Fear with 137, Seuss on 97. It's a 40-point game as it stands at the minute. 60 Quad Bit trying to break his way past Neil Hilardo, going in with the shoulder check. It does pay off, and he's out for lead jammer.
And Ben Twilley not too far behind. Almost got blocked through the wall by his own defensive unit there. So this is not going to be a long jam. Calls it off. And there's a blocking out of play call on Barnabash. So Tyne and Fear are going to start one blocker short and only 1 point in it for Tyne and Fear. Great defensive jamming there by Ben Twilley.
It was, and he was just having a chat there to Metal Ed, the jammer F, just I think with a little bit of a question. He was, it looked like he was signaling that he'd had a couple of hits to the head. Some of the skaters do like to go to the referees and say, hey, can you just keep an eye out for this happening, because I feel like I'm getting a lot of blocks that feel like they're illegal. It might be secondary contact.
I wonder if some of these skaters should pursue side jobs as lobbyists sometimes.
And it's Moo out for lead jam on the next jammer line.
And the Mechanic about half a lap behind.
But Moo with no opposition down the inside, calling it off for the full 4.
Beautiful piece of offense there, although that offense will send one of the Tyne and Fear blockers to the box for direction of gameplay.
So Gay Fawkes is taking a seat, Barnabash is standing. We're seeing Farron Samedi and Dark Matter lining up on the jammer line. It's a 4-on-2 pack advantage to Seuss.
That might have been a little bit of a professional foul there for Tyne and Fear. Take the trip to the box, but earn the full 4 right away.
So Farron Samedi favoring the inside line now, but his toe stop went over, so it was a cut track. And it's a power jam here for Tyne and Fear. Dark Matter, not very much work to do up at the front of the pack. Riding the rope around the outside, beautifully done. Big grin on his face as he comes through.
Well, the Seuss wall tried to keep waterfalling him into the front, but he was just a little bit too fast for that tactic. Here he comes on his first scoring pass, and he's got the full fiver.
Very nicely done. A great assist there from a Barnabash from pulling him through on the inside. A little bit of a whip, managing to get him out through the front there.
Dark Matter signals for a play from his blockers, and they run it beautifully, sends him right across the outside.
He's riling the crowd up as he goes through there. 5 more points on the board. You can see that Farron Samedy is standing in the Rydell Skates penalty box. He's going to be starting the next jam there with only a couple of seconds left on the penalty clock as Man-Shaped Dog, number 82 for Time and Fear, takes the Jammer Star on his own from the Jammer line.
And it looks like he's just about got a guard of honor of the Tide and Fear blockers. And here they go. They're going to recycle so that Farron Samedy has to start as far back as possible.
Reanimated GIF, call him right back to Pablo Diablo at the back of the pack to keep an eye on Farron Samedy. And exactly what they have done, but they've left a few holes, and he manages to sneak through a tiny gap up at the front there and pick up lead. Nicholas Rage on his way to the penalty box.
And for those of you keeping score at home, that was the first lead jam for South Wales in this half.
And 5 points on the board it is.
And in the meantime, Man-Shaped Dog has been trapped behind Clark and Matt Lovin. So it was a full 5-point pass for Farron Samedy. He trips through the inside.
Very nearly tripping up Matt Lovin as he fell there. Took a bit of a wide tumble.
And rather than risking the cut track, he's going to go ahead and recycle, even though he may well have gotten through.
I think that's a good call just to do that, to make sure he's got the advantage of being lead. He just managed to make it through to pick up another 5 points. The Seuss blockers making hard work of it for Man-Shaped Dog, knocking him towards the outfield. Some fantastic blocking on display there from Seuss up at the front. Ben Twilley again showing his double threat status here. Strong blocking up at the front there with Matt Lovin and Chevy Chase.
This great blocking is almost making it a power jam for Farron Samedy, and South Wales have broken the 100-point barrier now.
Beautifully done. A forearms penalty sending Reanimated GIF pivot for Tide and Fear to the penalty box. 4-on-3 pack advantage on the track now to Seuss. Dog still having a really tough time of it.
Ben Twilley putting it in reverse to do that great recycle. Every time I see those socks, I think of Stade de France rugby.
Farron Samedy very close to having a cut track there. Stepped out with the toe stop, stepped in. Keen eye on the outside there from referee Roland Rat. No call made. I think it was a good non-call from the referees. 1 more point on the board for Seuss. Like we say, that jam broke them into triple figures. Got team timeout called by Seuss. The points as they stand, that was a 16-point jam for Seuss. And it was really good to see them, like Satman, like you said, very nearly looking like they had a power jam because of the tremendous work that they were doing, keeping those walls tight towards the back of the pack and stopping Man-Shaped Dog from passing through and scoring any points.
Well, part of the fun of roller derby is sometimes when you're playing defense, you're actually playing offense, and vice versa. All those blockers had locked them down. Tide and Fear had no opportunity to score, couldn't even finish an initial pass. Those points are half due to that South Wales wall. They're
going to be really happy with the way that jam went, especially Dog, one of the Team England or England men's roller derby skaters. So they're going to be really pleased that they've managed to keep him down, because he's had a good scoring run so far this game today.
That's right. You've got a few of Team England on Tide and Fear. We've got about half of Team Wales on South Wales.
Absolutely. Next, we're seeing Ben Twilley lining up to jam. He's just had a jam where he was blocking as the pivot. So Ben Twilley and Blockbeard, a pairing that we've seen a little bit more frequently now throughout this game.
Ben Twilley manages to save it on the outside line. Beautifully done, lead jammer.
Nicely done. The pack just stationary through turn one, spreading out a little bit as he manages to come through up against the front of Barnabash, joined by Chemic Al and his kilt up at the front there, but did manage to put 5 points on the board, saved by the out of play warning from Mistrial.
Great job to be patient there and wait for the out of play. He knew it was coming, There was no bridging being done that time. Just wait it out. There we go. 5 points.
Blockbeard now managing to finish his initial pass. 5 more points on the board for Seuss. And that takes the scores to 123 for Seuss, 152 for Tynan Fear.
Just 29 points separating these two teams.
That was what was going through my brain, but I didn't dare say it just in case.
And so it's Moo going up against the Mechanic.
Moo now struggling through those back walls. And it looks in this second period, Seuss have really tightened up the back walls through the pack, keeping a keen eye on the jammers straight off the line. Oh, so close. Moo out in front, but it is the Mechanic picking up lead jammer. Let's see how this plays out. Are we going to see a bit of jammer on jammer action? Mechanic is holding back. He's going to call it. Saw him slowing down.
Well, the bench manager was signaling to call it off about 3 seconds before he noticed. There's no value to South Wales to keep the clock running. They want to call it off as quickly as possible. They're behind. The clock is not on their side.
Absolutely. We've got 18 minutes left of gameplay here in the second period of the South Wales Cilias versus Tynan Fear Roller Derby. South Wales playing in the grey jerseys, Tynan Fear in the black and yellow. We've got Dark Matter and Farron Samedi jamming. Dark Matter is closer to the front, but that wall is not going to let him through. Relentless blocking from the boys in grey. Seuss doing a great job, but then again, Tynan Fear, Badam and Chemic Al doing a cracking job keeping Farron Samedi from making any headway through the back of the pack.
Neither of these jammers is having an easy time of anything. And of course, as soon as I say that, Moo breaks through for lead jammer.
Dark Matter there picking up lead.
Oh, beautiful little bit of offense, locking down Chevy Chase. He might get 3 in there. Yes, 3 points for Moo. We've got the Mechanic against Dog up here on the jammer line.
Yeah, Dog number 82 for Tynan Fear, the Mechanic 79 for South Wales Cilias, and a full pack on the track, 4 on 4. But Gay Fawkes taking a tumble towards the rear, getting up and making sure he's got a good idea of where the rest of his teammates are in the pack before he makes any advances. And it is Man-Shaped Dog coming out, picking up lead, but he's not too far ahead of things, as the Mechanic was out just a little bit behind him, but with a bit of a cheeky little block by Bull up at the front there, slowing him down. Jam called, an elbows penalty sending Gay Fawkes to the penalty box. He had a very penalty-heavy game yesterday. From talking to him afterwards, he said that was the most penalties he'd ever got in a game, and that was 6. I reckon today we're going to be looking at 5 already. Thanks for confirming. And we're going to see potentially something quite similar. Obviously, with the point at any of the skaters reach 7 penalties, they'll foul out. That hasn't happened in this game at all. We did see one of yesterday's games, we had 6 foul outs throughout the game. That was pretty heavy.
That was pretty heavy. Now we've got 60 quad bit against the Machinist. You know, the records we've set today have been far more fun. Like the second biggest jam of all time. Machinist through and scoring for lead. He has to hype up the crowd a little bit too.
Absolutely. More than a woman taking a seat in the penalty box.
Ooh, sit down. Heavy hit to the inside.
Oh, Chemic Al trying to get him off his feet, but he used it to his advantage with a little hop, skip, and a jump over the apex.
Machinist with Chemic Al to beat. Manages to keep his state inside despite the wonderful hit from Barnabash.
Very nice footwork, keeping him in there. That's where your core strength really holds you back in. And a cut track penalty, sending 60 quad bit to the penalty box. And also we have a forearms penalty sending Finch of Fury, but it is a power jam Fear to Seuss.
It's a power jam to Seuss, but it's a full pack for Tyne and Fear. Seuss might have to go ahead and use offense a lot more.
5 more points on the board for the Machinist. And the pack now speeding up as the blockers on track. Trying to speed it up, give him some hard work to do. And no pass, no penalty signal from the outside pack referees.
Well, they blocked Gay Fox out of bounds so that he could step right back in, which was a great move. The Machinist did not actually fully recycle. He waited where he was until his blockers did their bit and he could jump straight back in.
Good use of just observation in the pack. Sometimes the best thing you can do is watch. And as soon as you know what's happening, that's when you can start just putting that footwork into action. You know exactly where you've got to be on the track. These guys working incredibly well together. They have this almost, this connection, this unspoken connection, but again, their on-track communication is fantastic. They know exactly where they are in the pack.
It's the Welsh hive mind. They probably didn't tell you about that.
Well, I think they probably kept it to themselves just to surprise everybody. So it's a 10-point game as it stands. Seuss on 146, Tyne and Fear 156. And it is a Seuss lead as Madly Wiggins takes a seat in the penalty box. Pack advantage to Tyne and Fear. Lead advantage to Seuss.
But holy cow, Moo is trucking around this track. There's going to be points. There's going to be a crash.
Huge hit for both of the jammers. And I don't know if there's an injury or if they're just taking a seat on track just to regroup. We are going to be just making sure that everybody's okay.
Medics coming over to check on Moo. It's 1 point each on that jam, so it's going to remain a 10-point game.
So we have an official timeout while the medics just take a look to make sure that Moo's okay. The jam didn't appear to be called off from the injury. It appeared to be called off from the ground.
That's right.
By Seuss Jammer.
As he was taken out, he called off the jam, trying to conserve points, conceded one but scored one.
Absolutely. So obviously we want to make sure that Moo's okay before he goes back onto jam, but as the jam wasn't called off for the injury, he is eligible to re-enter for the very next jam. But as he was just jamming, I imagine he's going to get a couple of jams rest just to make sure that he's okay. The bench are going to want to know exactly what's happened.
Right now we're on an official review from Tyne and Fear. I'm sure they're going to request some kind of heavy penalty for the hit that caused that collision.
Absolutely. So official review to Tyne and Fear, the first one that we've got in the second period. And again, just a quick shout out to the Rydell Skates sponsoring our penalty box here today.
And Four Nations Roller Derby Tournament down in Birmingham. Keep them in mind. If you're at all around on the 27th and 28th of November, you're going to want to be there.
Absolutely. We have, this time of the year, November, tends to favour the tournaments down in Birmingham. We had Beardy in November last year, and then we've got the Four Nations this year. Obviously, this is the warm-up for the Men's World Cup that's going to be held in Calgary, Canada next year, 2016. Of course, if you can be there, be there. If you can't, there'll be footage available online.
Oh, the footage in Calgary is going to be pretty awesome.
So thanks very much for bearing with us this weekend. We have had a few hiccups in terms of footage and the syncing of the sound and the picture. We are doing our absolute best to make sure that we bring it to you. Don't forget, the stream is free, but we would love it if you could donate to us. There's a raffle available online. Please go and check it out, www.tyneandfear.co.uk/MEC raffle. For every £3 you donate, you are entered into the raffle. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, please do check it out. But also you have until the very end of July, if you are watching this later, but if you're watching the recorded footage, to make sure you get your donations entered into the raffle until the 31st of July. Again, it's tyneandfear.co.uk/MEC raffle. So as you can see, we're having a look at some of the crowd out there today. There was a big sign that came up to say that all the merch was £5.
Well, all the Quad Guards merch is £5.
Bargain, I say.
Our tweetcaster's about to run off and buy some more.
Just getting very excited. We've got the lovely Holly Sheet with us helping out today, and of course we've got the gorgeous Nasty Moves helping us out with keeping an eye on penalties and tracking some points and things for us. Obviously, in terms of announcers, you have the lovely Statman here. My name's Panda. We're going to get some information about the official review for you now. from our alternate ref, Dirty Harry. So as soon as we've got that fed back, I'll let Statman give you some of the information. But just a quick mention to Fifth Blocker Skates sponsoring our track here today. Statman?
All right, so the Tynan Fear was reviewing, the question is, was there a back block committed by the South Wales jammer? There was, and so they will retain their review, and this next jam will start as a power jam to Tynan Fear.
Okay, so the official review that was used in the first half, the team Seuss won and retained that. Now they were seeing the Tynan Fear one in the second period. They have retained it, and they have another official review should they require to use it. Dark Matter now jamming for Tynan Fear. Quite a quick pack there, moving through turns 1 and 2, but he does manage to break out and pick up lead jammer.
Took him only 7 seconds to pick up that lead jammer status. That's a good use of that power jam clock.
More Than a Woman taking a seat in the penalty box, so it's a 4-on-3 pack advantage to Seuss, but the jammer is standing, so this power jam isn't going to last for very long.
Jammer back on the track. This power jam is officially over. We have a clockwise pack, heavy block. It is a clockwise block. Nonetheless, Dark Matter having to work hard to get his way through the pack.
Yeah, Dark Matter with the 4-point pass there. You see Madly Wiggins taking a seat in the penalty box.
Farron Samity's through on his initial pass. Dark Matter is going to call it off.
Eastern Blocker's going to be taking a seat in the box. Apologies, it was Chevy Chase taking a seat in the box. So a 4-on-2 pack advantage to Tynan Fear. Both of the jammers starting on the track. And we've got Dog lining up for Tynan Fear and Ben Twilly lining up for Seuss, obvious by his lovely mixed match socks. As a shout out to Tomahawk from Lincolnshire Rolling Thunder, who was sporting some very lovely pink attire yesterday.
And we have a 20-point score differential right now. And it's lead jam status to Man-Shaped Dog and Tynan Fear.
I've noticed that he's exited the pack quite a few times, tweaking his wrist guard. So I think some of the Velcro is coming a little bit loose on those. He wants to be careful that he's not catching on other people as he's going through the pack. But Ben Twilly now nicely done on one foot on the outside. An out of play block sending Pablo Diablo to the penalty box. He was just in front of the 20-foot line.
That's right. So Ben Twilly will take the no pass, no penalty to keep moving forward. And Tynan Fear are going to hold off on calling it to kill the clock a little bit.
Swiss Army Mike on the bench just nodding because Doug was looking at him saying, shall I call it? Yeah, call it.
That's a well-managed game right there.
All right, so we're going to see the Mechanic lining up against Moo. The Mechanic, number 79 in grey for South Wales Cilios. Moo, number 9 in the black for Tynan Fear. The points as they stand at the minute, 147 to Seuss, 171 to Tynan Fear. Just less than 10 minutes left on the period clock.
It's a 3-on-3 pack. So there's a little bit more space for both of these jammers, but they are finding it tough work to get through.
The blockers at the back moving at such a slow pace. Very, very nearly stationary. Want to be careful they're not called for a stopped block penalty.
Great job there by South Wales pack to invert the pack, recycle to the back. But nonetheless, it is still a grind with the pack stalled there at turn 1.
So the pack now all back on the track as the Rydell penalty box empties. Oh, Moo not managing to stay on his feet as he gets out towards the front. He is lead though, so he has the advantage there. But Chemical now taking a seat in the penalty box, so they are a block short for Tynan Fear.
No pack called. There was a whistle, but the Mechanic is out on his not lead pass.
So that looks like Matt Lovin is going to be taking a seat in the penalty box, so it's going to be a 3-on-3 pack starting the next jam. No points apiece in that last jam. So the points as they stand, 147 to Seuss, 171 to Tynan Fear. 8.5 minutes left on the period clock. Thanks very much for watching. If you do want to get in touch, please do tweet us at Men's Euro Cup. Hashtag MEC 2015. We've got the gorgeous Holly Sheet on the Twitter feed. She's keeping us up to date with everything that's going on. So
and we've got Dark Matter against Farron Samity back on the jammer line. Farron Samity not quite through. He was off to the inside. Dark Matter is going to pick up lead jammer status.
So Bull holding the back line there, recycling Farron Samity, who is still struggling to break through the pack. And Dark Matter knocked to the infield, but he was still behind the blocker that knocked him out. So straight back onto the track for a 5-point grand slam. Matt Lovin now re-entering the track, so full force on the pack for both teams. But as we say that, we've got Neil Hallardo going to the penalty box. Seuss down their pivot.
And that's his 6th penalty, according to our unofficial count. As well, Time and Fear have had lead jam 12 out of the 17 jams this half.
We had a relatively even split between the two teams in the first period. The lovely Nasty Moves keeping track of that for us. Very helpful, thank you very much. And dominating the lead so far in this jam, Tyne and Fear. So a 4-on-3 pack on the track, advantage to Tyne and Fear. We've got the Machinist and Dog jamming.
There come the chance of Be More Dog. For those of you who don't know, that's an advertising campaign here in the UK.
Yeah, that was adopted for the men's European Championships, I believe, in 2013.
I think
Been around for a while, but he's out and he is lead, so
clearly the crowd getting involved in this game.
He likes whipping up the crowd and making them use their voices. The Machinist not quite taken down by Chemical towards the front of the pack there, keeping it on.
Still a scoreless jam, but those scoreless jams go in favor of Tyne and Fear every time.
Absolutely, they do. The scores as they stand: 147 to Seuss, 180 to Tyne and Fear. 6 minutes left in this second period. This game determines who is going to be taking the spot with Southern Discomfort up for the first place final bout here at 7 o'clock this evening, and the third, fourth place at 5 o'clock with Lincolnshire Rolling Thunder.
So it's Moo against the Mechanic on this jam. Mechanic with 3 to beat up at the front. Moo getting recycled back to the back. This is an opportunity for the Mechanic, but he has to take advantage of it quickly. We know how good Moo is. He does take advantage, though. Lead jammer to Seuss.
Strength through on his toe stops on the inside. It was looking like he was very close to the line at that point. Moo has managed to sprint down the infield. Not lead jammer, but he is out.
Mechanic's going to call it off. He'll pick up 3 points, though, on that jam. And that's going to keep the score difference at 30.
Madley Wiggins taking a seat in the penalty box. So 4-on-3 pack advantage to Tyne and Fear moving into this next jam. And it looks like we've got Dark Matter and the Machinist taking the jammer line. 180 for Tyne and Fear, 150 to Seuss. It's a 30-point game with 4.5 minutes left on the clock.
And we're underway. Seuss must feel right at home. That pack was more congested than the Bring-Glass tunnels at rush hour. Nonetheless, the Seuss wall up at the front, Tyne and Fear at the back. Pack now starting to spread out as we get some recycle jobs going on.
We've got a bit of an accordion pack going on. It's spreading out and spreading back in really quickly.
It's an accordion pack, which means it's annoying.
It's hard to tell what's going on with such fast movement when the pack spreads out. A spread pack can mean a lot of penalties. It can mean none. A closed pack can mean a lot of penalties as well.
Lead jam status to the Machinist 40 seconds into this jam.
Took a long time. It makes hard work of it through the jammers, but it was through turn 3 that he managed to get out and past.
Finch of Fury lowering the hammer onto Dark Matter.
4-on-2 pack advantage on the track to Seuss.
All right, here comes the Machinist. He is carving through that pack.
Very nicely done. Very little opposition up at the front of the back, but Dark Matter taking it upon himself to try and just bowl those blockers out of the way, but he's knocked to the infield now. Looks like he's tiring a little bit, re-entering the back of the pack.
Oh, beautiful job. Eastern Blocker, credit him with those points. Doing great offense there. The stars are off of Dark Matter's head, but they're still in his hand.
Is he going to pass, or is it just tactical to keep it off for a little while?
The Machinist knocks down, had to settle his pads, calls it off. He's still got one on that final pass, so he has halved the score difference. That was an important jam for South Wales.
Yeah, 16-point pass. So 166 to Seuss. Tyne Fear 180. We've seen the Mechanic number 79 for Seuss lining up against Dog number 82. Tyne Fear playing in the black jerseys. Seuss playing in the grey. Full force on track from both teams here. 4-on-4 pack for the first time in a couple of jams.
There's that scrum pack to start it. The crowd starts the Be More Dog chant again. Grey wall at the front, black at the back.
The Mechanic recycled at the back behind Gay Fawkes. And it looks like a multiplayer block penalty is going to be sending Gay Fawkes to the penalty box.
And now
that could well be his 7th.
The black wall moves to the front, Grey at the back.
Pablo Diablo is going to be taking a seat in the penalty box next to him as well. But the Mechanic is out for lead.
This is important. He has to put up about 10 points this jam to keep Seuss in the game. It's down to Neil Halato and Cool Jam Luke, who've recycled him, and they did. He picks up a cutting penalty. It's going to be 30 seconds of South Wales with the only scorer on the track. Let me do a John Madden moment. It's hard to score when you don't have a jammer.
Absolutely, but 5 more points on the board. I don't know if you guys can hear the crowd, but they are calling it out. Gay Fawkes now back on the track. I have it on good authority. That was his 6th, but another 5-point pass for Seuss.
And the Mechanic's going to call it off to freeze the jammer in the box, which does 2 interesting things. Number 1, it freezes the jammer in the box. And number 2, Neil Halato had fouled out. And so that means that when he's done, they'll actually get a blocker back, whereas had that jam continued, they would have played the rest of the jam a blocker down.
Okay, Man-Shaped Dog is standing.
The crowd is incredible right now. They had a cheering war going.
My goodness, what a huge hit from the front there from Chemical. Taking the Machinist down, Dog re-enters the pack, and he's out in front for lead jammer. It's a 4-point game as it stands at the minute.
This could be huge. It's only 12 seconds left in the period. Tyne and Fear are in absolute control. Unless Dog makes a mistake, this could be it.
Oh, he's out, calling it off.
He calls it off, and it's a timeout called by Seuss. Is it in time? According to the officials, it is in time. I have a nod from head referee Duncan Disorderly, shaking his head as he says it is not final. There is a timeout. So that was a mistake by Dog to call off the jam.
He thought he got enough time in it, but it was called off. Obviously, the referees are going to be looking at the jam timer, who has the ultimate authority on the clock. What you see on the board is what we have as accurate and up-to-date as possible, but sometimes the period clock needs to be adjusted.
I'm sure you can see the whole crowd clapping in unison over there. And the great thing is the 2 chants are so different. You have the claps for Tyne and Fear, and the Seuss fans are just Seuss.
I think it's important to note that if you are new to roller derby, especially with a couple of these leagues, they're not booing. It doesn't happen in roller derby.
No, it doesn't.
There are a few different calls. There's moo has a moo, Seuss has a Seuss, but it's always something. It's never booing.
Well, keep in mind in Welsh, W is a vowel, so that is a pronounceable word, Seuss, and it actually means kiss.
Impressive.
They're definitely the sweetest roller derby team.
Okay, so we have a 7-point game here. 1 more jam in it. Seuss on 176, Tyne and Fear on 183.
And Tyne and Fear said, well, anything you can do, I can do better. We'll take a timeout too.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of minutes in it, and I think they're just going to be doing it to psych out Zeus as we go into this final jam. But it does look like currently we've got Ben Twilly standing on the jammer line, and we've got Jan Potansky on Twitter saying, oh my God!
Toit. I believe
Toit.
is how you pronounce that. Toit.
And we've got Erica Packington on Twitter as well saying, whoa, it's close. My goodness, it's close.
If I were from Boston, I would say this is wicked close.
I like it. Wicked close.
Wicked close.
This is going to be one heck of a last jam in this bout.
And it's going to be only one in the box. Both jammers are on the track. It's no strange jam. This is straight ahead roller derby.
We've got Ben Twilly lining up against Moo.
Well, that 2-minute gap means you can put in your best lineup.
Absolutely. You've got time to rethink it.
There's no rest. There's no rotation.
Moo now coming up against a formidable wall of Zeus blockers, and it is Zeus picking up lead jammer.
But he's recycled. This could still be huge. Oh, and it's a massive leveling onto Moo. Ben Twilly, though, has to fight his way back through this pack. He's in control, but he's got lead jammer. They're not leading on the scoreboard.
He's definitely not going to be looking to call that off anytime soon, but Moo is also recycled at the back of the pack. So both of these jammers having an incredibly difficult time. They are keeping those inside lines beautifully tight. Oh, a huge hit. Taking the machinist's helmet right off his head. He's got the jammer helmet cover in his hand. But a cut track penalty is going to be sending him to the penalty box as the jammer.
He had planted his skate just on the inside line and stepped back in on the star pass after he had gotten the stars.
What an incredible hit that was, the force of it.
There's been nothing but incredible hits this whole jam. Oh! Sit down, son.
So a no pass, no penalty there, but Moo is out completing that initial pass.
Now remember, South Wales have also completed their initial pass. Both teams can score now. Here comes the recycle job. Wales recycles.
Beautifully done by Clark there, holding Moo back on the inside. Still that he managed to pass a couple of skaters, so he's got 2 points at least on the board through this as the machinist comes up on the inside with 20 seconds left to go in the jam.
Machinist just dancing on that outside line. He is pushing hard. I'm not sure there's time for it, but he is going to try to go for some points here. I know he's got several already.
Machinist taking a hit to the inside. Once again, the points, no change at the moment.
The waning seconds of the jam, 4-0 for Tyne and Fear. Tyne and Fear, the scores are still unofficial.
Moo dropping to his knees. What an incredible last jam. 11 points in this game.
Can we just talk about how much heartbreak these Welsh skaters have had? Wales losing to Australia by 1. South Wales losing the British champs by 1 on score difference.
What an incredible year both of these teams have had. And this is a great culmination. And they'll have a fantastic summer break for a little while.
Can we start renaming them the So Close Silliers?
Absolutely insane. Obviously, you can see everybody's heading to the track now, making a tunnel for these guys. So close and so well fought as well.
And the thing that I love is the whole crowd invaded the track immediately on the final whistle. And from both teams. It's gone official now, 187 to 176, so Tyne and Fear will play Southern Discomfort in the championship, and Tyne and Fear beat them in the British champs.
They did. That was such an incredible bout. We're going to see the South Wales Silliers taking on Lincolnshire Rolling Thunder here at 5 o'clock this afternoon. The final, Southern Discomfort and Tyne and Fear, which we're not unfamiliar to those two teams facing off together. So we're going to be seeing that here at 7 o'clock. The next game that we have on the track for you today, I'll just take a look there. We have New Wheels. No, it's Barrow versus Pan Am.
And that's for 7th place.
as you can hear the crowd stomping, going crazy.
They're all stomping their feet for Seuss. See, this is what I love about roller derby is Seuss had that opportunity to win it. They couldn't quite pull it together. Tyne and Fear did a brilliant job shutting them down on the final jam, and the crowd is going to show them all the love they deserve.
Absolutely. It could have been that final penalty that made the difference. It was so close. It was a 4-point game moving into that last jam, but 11 points in it.
Well, and what I love about a game like this is you can't point to one event and say, that's what cost them the game. Every single decision, every single bit of game management had to be spot on for both teams.
Absolutely. We saw a couple of lead changes throughout the game, and it was so close. I think the biggest differential was 30 points.
Hang on, can we get a shot at Gold Ranger? Gold Ranger's here. Quick, Gold Ranger, camera person, Gold Ranger.
Can
you guys see Gold Ranger?
Through the crowd.
All right, well, on that note, on that bombshell.
On the excitement for the end of this game, we are going to cut through to the break. We'll be back here at 1 o'clock for the next game.
And my name is Statman.
I'm Panda. Thanks very much for joining us here at the Men's European Cup 2015.
Thank you.